first CrackDown is remembered mostly for the insane collect-a-thon that just kept on giving. Chances are if you had an Xbox 360 at launch, the handful of agility orbs that you never managed to collect still nag at you. More than 3 years later, CrackDown 2 is here, and it shares its predecessor's ethos. Can boundless chaos and a never-ending sequence of hidden goodies sustain a game in 2010?
Wow, that was bright. Cool, but bright.
A bomb killed 12 journalists at an agency press conference today.
Pacific City is still a hellhole, what with the renegade cell resistance and all those mutated freaks running about. Yeah, they're called freaks, mutant abominations that issue forth from holes in the ground. You play an unnamed agent in the service of the agency, and your job is to use your genetically enhanced body to set things right. That said, CrackDown 2 is thin on story, and on direction in general. What snippets you get from the audio logs you pick up will likely be drowned out by the constant explosions. Your ever-present commanding officer feels more like a play-by-play commentator than a narrator, and he's a skull to boot.
Dead citizens are not good news, Agent. Not for the agency, or for you.
Just follow the blinking waypoints on your map. They'll lead you in the direction of the stuff you have to kill. Don't worry about the whys or wherefores. CrackDown 2 hardly pretends to have a plot. You should follow its lead.
Your actions have stirred up a freak shitstorm, Agent. Brace yourself. This could get nasty. I'm an old hand at this, so listen up and listen good. I might just save your sorry ass.
CrackDown 2's open-world setting is an enormous playground designed for you to wreck, and the only thing between you and its most exclusive districts is your agility orb count. The game doesn't rely on plot placing to limit where you can go. As long as you can jump high enough to access a given part of the city, you officially have business being there. Consequently, there aren't any story missions to speak of. What you get instead are hotspots scattered around the city, which you can access whenever you want. There are spots where Cell is fortified, the triggering of which will kick off a prolonged scuffle with the agency. If you kill enough of them, they'll vacate, ceding the turf. There are also freak tunnels that work much the same way, though you can only seal them off at night. The critical path, if you can call it such, involves the activation of sites called absorption units, strategically placed all over the city that the agency is trying to use to seal off larger freak layers. Every time you activate a series of them, you'll have to delve underground and fight off increasingly large swarms of freaks while a giant pulse bomb ticks off. There are 9 sets of absorption units, and when you've sealed off the last associated freak pit, you can go off and officially beat the game.
You might want to hold on tight to something.
But only figuratively speaking, of course. CrackDown 2's story doesn't ever really start, and as such, it only really ends once you decide you're tired of grinding. There are hundreds and hundreds of orbs to track down, plain agility orbs in abundance, hidden ones of a different color, ones you can only get when you're playing co-op, and ones that run away from you when you approach. If the game didn't reward you so well for increasing your stats, it would seem like an absurd waste of time. The draw to hoard orbs is so strong that it often makes co-op games feel like an exercise in group collecting. CrackDown 2 is among the most permissive of games when it comes to drop-in, drop-out co-op, and the number of players in your game has the potential to magnify the craziness substantially. Up to 4 can inhabit a single instance of Pacific City, and with regards to objectives completed, they only count for the host, though any orbs and achievements that visitors collect count for them too. For better or worse though, it's way too easy to grief other players in co-op, inadvertently or not. You have no excuse to moan about getting blown up in the competitive multiplayer modes, however. CrackDown 2's PvP game takes place across 3 game types that share 9 maps: Deathmatch, a team variant, and an oddball-style mode called Rocket Tag. In competitive play, everyone starts with maxed out stats, so from the get-go, you can jump high, pilot helicopters, and glide to your heart's content. Predictably, PvP is crazy, especially during Rocket Tag matches, where it feels like you can't go 5 seconds without getting blown 20 yards by a stray missile blast. You can rank up by playing, but don't expect any progression beyond ascending leaderboards. It all adds up to a fun diversion, but frankly the chaos you can affect in multiplayer doesn't hold a candle to what's possible in a co-op game, where the AI can contribute to the mess.
Oh yeah, that fourth combination attack is a doozy.
You may start the game as a hobbled agent who can barely muster 5 feet on a vertical jump, but by the time you're all orbed up, you'll be bounding around the city like Superman on the moon. As your capabilities increase, you'll be able to pick up heavier objects, truck vehicles on the highway like a superhuman running back, clear entire rooftops with a single grenade blast, and more. Your agility, which determines how fast you run, high you jump, and eventually whether or not you can glide, only increases as you gather orbs. Everything else, from your strength, driving, firearms, and explosive skills, goes up through use. And use them you will. It's a good thing that the minute-to-minute gameplay has the potential for such explosive fun, because that's really all CrackDown 2 has to offer. The spread of weapons you can use gets bigger as you level up your firearm skill, eventually granting you access to the sorts of stuff you'd normally see mounted on stationary turrets. Same with vehicles. Level your driving skill enough and you can pilot choppers. You can also engage in cybernetically enhanced base jumping once you unlock the gliding ability with a high enough agility rating. CrackDown 2's no-frills controls allow you to make use of all your brutal capabilities without fuss. Once you've reached the pinnacle of your strength and agility, you really do feel like an unstoppable juggernaut. CrackDown 2's looks are wholly in the service of the gameplay experience, and they're frankly not likely to impress you. Character models are pretty simplistic, which is sort of understandable since there are often so many of them on screen at a time. Explosions look grainy and fake, and the environments look pretty basic when you actually bother to slow down and look at them. The ever-present narrator who sees fit to comment on every bad circumstance you find yourself in, as well as any achievements you unlock, will wear out his welcome after the first few hours, though oddly, we can never manage to bring ourselves to turn him off during our playtime.
The sky's brightening. Here's to a new day.
It's hard to argue with CrackDown 2's draw. After a multi-hour session consisting of little more than hunting down agility orbs and engaging in unstructured havoc, you'll still find it hard to peel yourself away. Its lack of a meaningful structure reeks a bit of lazy design, and a well-developed and extremely permissive multiplayer game just barely excuses this. But again, it's hard to deny its appeal. If you have a taste for chaos, Pacific City is yours to wreck.
We're gonna need bigger guns. Agent, let's get to work.